Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here, and let's wake up the football gods here. It is hump day. After today, we are over the hump. It is Thursday night football leading into a weekend. Ooh. Unfortunately, we don't play until Monday night, so that'll give us an extra day to kind of get our stuff together and see what we've got, so forth. Today, of course, is the big day because the team gets back on the practice field. Yes, we talking about practice, not the games, but we talking about practice. And a couple of things that are really, really big and important that are going on. We do know that Dennis Houston got released. The hope is that they're going to be able to bring him back in training, onto the practice squad. But what this may be a sign of is that Michael Gallup is ready to return. We had heard rumors, on Monday that he could be playing 10 or 15 plays or so in there, basically on a pitch count to make sure we don't overdo it to try and really get him up to speed. Also, Jason Peters should be practicing in pads today as well, and that one or both of those guys may end up being put onto the roster. And so they need to make space for those guys, or it could even be that they're making another outside move. We did hear yesterday, of course, Tampa Bay going out and getting Measly Beasley. You never know. The Cowboys might end up adding somebody, but then again, they're not going to add anybody. We know the Cowboys aren't going to add anybody. But it's important because change is good in life. And you have to ultimately get the best players on the field. The Cowboys, looking at the offensive line, seems like we've got the real deal with Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith was the highest rated rookie tackle in football. Rookie. Which is good because that means, he took a major leap from week 1 to week 2. And hopefully he will continue to get better. Jason Peters, you have to believe, even at his age of 40, once he gets ramped up, is better than Matt Fornek. So now becomes the question of, do you mess with Tyler Smith, who worked out all training camp at guard, and then move him back to guard and then put Jason Peters in? The difference with Jason Peters is a better pass blocker than run blocker at this point in his career, and it's the reverse with Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith is a better run blocker, but he's becoming a better pass blocker. So you sit here and you look, and the question is, do you want to mess with something that's working at the moment? Now, you could look at this and say, if I've got Jason Peters and Tyler Smith on that left side, then I've got a very good, strong left side. But Tyler Smith has been, thus far, a lot better than your Chaz Greens, your Ty Nsekes, or some of the other stiffs that we've had at tackle. We haven't given up a lot of sacks because of the left tackle. And so I'm leery about changing that. But then again, you think of the potential of actually having, a future Hall of Famer, if he still got it, and then a young pup right there on that left side. That left side can be powerful. Then on the right side, you've got Terrence Steele and Zach Martin. And even Biotis is playing better. All of a sudden, the offensive line doesn't look quite as bad as it did 3 weeks ago when Tyron Smith first went down. We'll see what happens with that. Like I said, we'll follow and see if Jason Peters is ready to play this week. Maybe they end up holding off for one more week before they do it, bring him in. He has been here a number of weeks and getting back into football shape. The pads will tell a lot on that one. The other thing that I wish the Cowboys would do is develop an identity. I don't know what the Cowboys' identity is on offense. Now, from the week 1, we passed the ball 70% of the time with Dak Prescott. This week, with Cooper Rush, we ended up passing like 60% of the time. We got over 100-yard mark in running the football, which usually leads us to victory. They simplified the offense. They used Jake Ferguson more. They ended up using 12 personnel or 12 personal. I'm going to call it 12 personal now because it's personal to me because I love 12 personnel, okay? And for all those that want to make fun because I am dyslexic and screwed up when I ordered my jersey, it's growing on me. And since we got this, and since we ran more 12 personnel, we ran about 50% of our plays in 12 personnel. That was really personal to me. And I hope we continue to do that. Now, we may not have Dalton Schultz playing. He may be slowed down with the PCL sprain that he has. We may see Hendershot inserted in here. Hendershot, along with Jake Ferguson, actually is a better blocking set than Ferguson and Dalton Schultz. So they've got some pieces here that are working well. It's a matter of getting this stuff together. We've got thunder and lightning as far as Zeke Elliott. You know, Zeke Elliott is the battering ram. We can use him to kind of soften up the defenses. But then you go with the lightning, Tony Pollard, and getting him the ball in space, which now is stretching out the field more and more. So it'll be interesting to see how they go after the New York Giants on offense. But let's be clear here. Zeke Elliott and the crew, they're having a different mentality when it comes to the trash that they're hearing.
We are so excited to have Ezekiel Elliott joining us here on the show on behalf of DraftKings Rainmakers Football after a big win over the Bengals, Zeke, Sunday. So what has been the team's response to not having Dak Prescott? You guys get the big win, but obviously it's tough without your main quarterback there.
Yeah, just to rally around Coop. It's tough, losing your quarterback. And we also lost our left guard, Connor McGovern, in that first game. But just, rally around Coop. We know Coop's been around for a good amount of time. I think he's been there 5 out of 6 years he's been in the league. He knows his offense, and he's a guy that can go out there and help us win ball games. So just kind of rally around him and do everything we can to support him.
Zeke, your coaching staff uses both you and Tony Pollard in both the pass and the run game. How do you think that you two complement each other?
I think we have different running styles. I'm more of a bruiser. He definitely could do that too. But he's a fast guy. He's a guy that anytime he touches the rock, he might go score a touchdown. So I think our running styles complement each other, and I think it's definitely tough on those opposing defenses.
I'm sure you guys hear some of the noise about the Cowboys, right? How do you block some of that out, some of the negativity maybe even of people doubting this team? It's kind of a rare position where a lot of people do consider the Cowboys underdogs, despite you guys having a win in week 2 over a team that was just in the Super Bowl.
You got to know that's just what comes with, being in Dallas. You got to know that, there's going to be a lot of media attention. And I think, it's probably something that, it takes a little time to get used to. But, it's the nature of the beast. And, that's why you either hate us or you love us.
Either you hate us or you love us.
Okay, so I know he's on your team technically, but you probably face off against him sometimes in practice at least. How would you describe Micah Parsons? I mean, we call him like a unicorn on this show, but what does he do that makes him so difficult to deal with on the offensive side?
He's just such a great athlete. He's not only the 250, but the dude he's 4'3". He's a legit 4'3" guy. He's probably got one of the best get-offs on the team, and you take that, combined with his wrestling background. I think that it definitely helps him rush, and he's definitely a nightmare for those guys we got to play on Sundays.
Thanks so much, Zeke, for joining us here on NFL Live. We appreciate you.
You either love us or you hate us. Now back to one other thing here this morning, because I feel like it's kind of, I've been screaming the same thing over and over again. We need to be able to run the football. We need to be able to use 12 personnel. We need to use play action. We need to use RPOs. we need to actually develop and figure out what kind of team we are. I would love to think that we are a balanced team, but the Cowboys have to develop something that's going to be their bread and butter. And this is where you may look at it and say, if we can get Jason Peters involved in the offensive line, that maybe we'll be able to really run the football and really then be able to do the play action. I would love, with the defense that we have right now, with the defense that we have that is smothering people, if you can become a ball control offense where come the third and the fourth quarter, we're just handing it off and just running and killing time, slow death for people, that ultimately would be the formula to be able to go forward and really make some noise in the playoffs if we were to make the playoffs. It's still a tough road to hoe without Tyron Smith, but we are actually beginning to make strides there. At some point, we'll get Dak back. The question will be is, will Kellen Moore go back to, slinging Sammy and throwing, 70% of the time, as opposed to understanding it's about winning the game. It's not about necessarily being pretty. You've got to go with your strengths. And right now, your strengths would be running the football with that offensive line and play actioning. But let's see where ESPN says that our winning formula is.
When Dak gets back, they will be right in the thick of things. What did you see from them on Sunday?
Yeah, I felt like they found their blueprint for success moving forward. When Dak comes back, they need to play the game exactly the way they called it for Cooper Rush. Yes, their best players are their running backs, Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Those guys had 29 combined touches out of the 46 for the game. What's that do for your offense? It allows the receivers to get those one-on-one matchups. It allows your offensive line to not have to drop back and pass protect 45 times a game. So
it was actually 61
this is
plays.
what the Cowboys need to do, whether Dak is a starter or not. And guess why they can do that? Because of Micah Parsons.
There we go.
Their defense, they play out of this world defense. Micah Parsons is unblockable, and he raises the level of everybody else. Dorrance Armstrong had 2 sacks in the game. You even know who that is? Most people don't. But guess what? They're all playing at a high level.
Well, so you bring up 2 really interesting separate points from each other. I want to deal in both of them quickly. The first of them is that right? Is the blueprint for their success offensively to be a run-first team?
100%. I know Fox and Graz hate it, but that's facts, and they do make it a much better offense and a much more explosive offense, contrary to what these two believe.
The second is about number 11.
Oh, God.
Is that kid the best player in the NFL
I believe he is. I mean, once they start putting him more at the edge and let him rush more often, he's 49th in the league for number of times he rushes the passer. He's 48.
He's number 1 in every category.
Rush more often than him. But he's number 1 in sacks and number 1 in pressures. This dude is crazy, and it makes the job for everybody else so much easier on that defense. If you know you have that guy on the line, it makes the rest of the line's job easier, makes the secondary's job easier, and it allows them to run the ball because their defense is killing people.
He didn't even get drafted as an edge rusher. Look, he's got every move. I mean, he's just destroying people.
They traded back and took him out of Penn State. Really
Thank
quick
you, Eagles.
here. For a quarterback and an you're a quarterback, RG3. Just sort of put us in the mindset. You're walking up to the line of scrimmage. He's on the other side. It's sort of like the old days of Lawrence Taylor, which I'm old enough to remember. Like, what are you thinking about when he's on the other side as you walk to the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, as a quarterback, you're saying, hey, we need to slide to this guy every single time. Jeff will tell you, we're pointing, we're going that way. The issue with Micah Parsons is it doesn't matter right now.
It just doesn't matter.
Chipping him, thumping him, and he's still getting to the quarterback. So for me as a quarterback, that's what you do. You come to the line, you say, this is where Micah Parsons is. I need 5 guys blocking that guy.
What are you going to do with him, Jeff?
Yeah, you make a Parsons call. Listen, when I was in Green Bay, this is no joke, we had a Peppers call. We walked to the line of scrimmage. Wherever he is, find him. And make sure we got at least one offensive lineman and hopefully some other player to help in addition. When you're talking about Micah Parsons, he's won 75%. 75% of his pass rush.
That's unbelievable.
That is absolute insanity. So you don't let him be a game wrecker, and that's what people have allowed him to be. And the Bengals, they let them unblock sometimes. And no chance.
And whether he gets pressure or not, he's already wrecked your game because we know that you're going to slide to him. So then we also on the defensive side, we know that we can blitz to the other side, and all our guys have one-on-one matchups. It's just a great problem to have.
All right.
It is a great problem to have, but the fact that Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler both have 3 sacks have 3 sacks collectively, and the amount of pressures that they have are because you're worried about him. Other guys are feasting. And at some point, we'll revisit Randy Gregory and collectively where the Cowboys have basically rotation. And this is where I kept saying that the Cowboys are going to be able to throw wave after wave of fresh bodies in there. And that, you're going to look and see, Dorrance Armstrong maybe with 6 or 7 sacks. You're going to look at a Dante Fowler with maybe 4 or 5 sacks. You're going to look at a Terrell Basham who may end up having, 3 or 4 sacks when he gets back and things. And you'll look at the position, and it may not be that you see a dominant Pro Bowl number from one guy other than Micah Parsons, but collectively you may see the position, that defensive end over there with, say, 20 sacks, which is a lot better than the 5.5 or 6 that we got from Randy Gregory last year. And this is where, again, the defense will get stronger as the game goes on. They're not changing centers. They're not changing the guards, and they're not changing the tackles unless somebody gets injured. But the Cowboys are going to throw an Osa and Digazua at you, and then they're going to throw a Tristan Hill at you, and then they're going to throw a Quentin Bohannon at you. They're going to throw more players than you can keep up with that are fresh. And this is the genius of Dan Quinn. This all goes back to the Seattle Seahawks. When you looked at that Seahawks defense that was number 1 in points, number 1 in scoring, number 1 in taking the football away, Cliff Avril was the highest sack getter of their Super Bowl season with 8. There wasn't a Khalil Mack or a Micah Parsons, but what it was a group of guys, a whole lot of them that were spreading the load, so you didn't know where everything was coming from. This, to me, the Cowboys went from about 28th ranked in football to, I think they dropped down in the power rankings to about 19 or so. You watch out for the Cowboys later in the season as guys like Tyler Smith start getting really into their groove. He's already making strides as the offensive line begins to kind of solidify and the dust clears. And, of course, you basically understand that September is really preseason. And if Kellen Moore can understand the same way the Cowboys found out by accident in 2014 when Tony Romo was coming back from the back injury, they were slinging at Sam all those years before that. But because Romo was hurt, they ended up relying on DeMarco Murray in the running game, and they found out this is a winning formula. And maybe we'll be able to point to the point where Dak Prescott broke that thumb as the changing point in Kellen Moore's thinking. We'll definitely have more on that later on. But in the meantime, I got to go get my truck inspected and get some new tires put on her because that baby is always on the road. And we got lots of work to do in the workshop. We got a Joe Barty that got ordered yesterday. We got some different plaques to do, and we're just about finished with all of the tailgate members gold Joe Barty. So we're going to I'm waiting to send them all out at the same time because I want to actually do a presentation and get them all out on the table and everything else for all of you great fans. But as always, I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope everything is going great for you in your world, and keep spreading the mojo.
Our folks here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part